Hello. Welcome back to the Intuitive Life Coach. I'm trying something new today. I am recording myself on a video so that I can share my beautiful face with you as you listen to the podcast. As I learn how to do this, as I'm coming into understanding how to do this video thing, why I podcast, I just ask for just a little bit of grace as I do this, because it is a learning process, as is anything that is new for you. So if you are just tuning in and finding me, my name's Angie. I am an intuitive spiritual life coach and healer. I'm an author of 2 books. I am certified as a meditation and mindfulness teacher and coach, a sound healing practitioner, and I am a Reiki master. And so I spend a lot of my time teaching people how to reconnect with their highest self, how to release programming of their ego and to step into their true authentic self, their highest self, their spirit self. I've always been spiritual. I've always had a spiritual connection. And if you listen to some of my other episodes prior to this one, you'll hear a little bit about my deconstruction journey and how in 2016 I heard an audible voice just randomly one day as I was mowing my yard. And basically this voice told me, you're doing it wrong. This is not how you connect with the spiritual realm. And so I had to do a lot of self-evaluation after that, and then things just kind of very quickly changed in my life. And here I am 8 years later, still have really worked through deprogramming my ego mind and stepping into my authentic self and kind of allowing myself to even step into my giftings without trying to control the way people see me or the way I even view myself. I think one of the hardest things about coming into a spiritual gift, especially after you've been in religion, is trusting yourself and trusting that what you bring to the world is not necessarily what others may expect you to bring, because people have known me in a certain energy, they have known me to be a certain way. My ego has programmed into myself that I have to be that to be accepted by them. And so this has been a challenge for me in many ways to trust myself enough to learn to love myself and to be myself without fear, which as a psychic medium who has recently come out, it's hard because when you come from that religious background, what is programmed into you to believe is that some of the things that may be considered like psychic or intuitive or outside of the religious understanding can be like evil or demonic. So I've had to through myself had to fight through quite a bit of that and trust that I'm hearing from something higher than myself, from something that is love. And I've come into the understanding of so many things since then as I continue to connect with my higher self. I send daily, every morning, I reconnect through meditation. And my books, my second book, Composting Ego, I channeled through my spirit. I was very careful about not letting my ego kind of get in that way and control the process of writing that. And I feel like I did pretty good, but of course, the ego always wants to be noticed. So, if you want to grab either of my books, my second one is Composting the Ego. You can get it anywhere online, Amazon. I'd love if you would leave me a review after. My first book is Leaf Lessons. It talks about a vision that I had in 2004 and the process of me healing from trauma and my deconstruction. And so, those are both of my first books. I am writing a third and have a few more books in me that will be going into the world. For me, I just wait for the guidance of the spirit to tell me what the book is supposed to be about. and when to write it and what it's about. Like I'll get a title in my head, and then I'll know, like, when I get the title, I'm not always like, okay, I'm going to write this book. I connect with the title, I meditate on the title, I allow myself to hear from my spirit, like, what is it that this book is supposed to take into the world? That way I can step out of my own way and channel through my spirit what that book is meant to say. That way I'm not just writing just to write to be seen or known in my ego self. So it is a challenge to go through those things. Anyways, so today, what I felt like I was supposed to share with you through my intuitive messages I've been getting is not something I thought I was going to share. I thought I was going to be talking about earthly relationships. And it might tie into that a little bit, but particularly, I feel like I'm supposed to speak about the different dimensions, like layers of spiritual energy, basically. And this is something that I have had to come into understanding as I continue to meditate, as I continue to connect with my higher self. And it was really interesting because this morning, as I was meditating, I got more of an understanding of this. And I've been having this come up in my spirit quite a bit. I mean, it's been coming up for over a year or maybe even 2 years. But particularly, I'm getting a little bit more understanding of how these dimensions work. And as a medium who has connected with spirits on the other side and received messages, I have been able to see a difference of or I guess feel, because I don't necessarily see. I'm not a My gifting isn't seeing. I get an image in my head and it's almost like I see it, and then I hear the message. And so learning to channel that out of me has been my focus recently, and not questioning what comes. And because sometimes the message I get isn't always I don't know how to say it. Like, I've had people come to me to do a reading, and almost always a spirit will come through and share with me something they experienced on earth, or a pain they caused to that person who is seeking that communication. And it's usually an attempt of bringing reconciliation and forgiveness between them, like the spirit and the human that's still here on earth. And this has happened several times. This actually happened with me, with my dad after he passed in 2020. And it's brought a little bit more of an understanding to me about karmic cycles and how energy that we take on in our earthly life can continue with us as we move on to the other side. So let me see if I can get this out. I feel like I'm supposed to kind of connect in with my spirit right now to bring this message to you so that I can speak more as a channel than through my ego self and trying to make sense of this, because these are things that the human mind cannot make sense of. So, what I'm hearing in my spirit, and what I have been hearing as far as this intuitive message about dimensions and connecting with spirits on the other side, is that there is a layer. I'm trying to convey the language. Sometimes when I hear something come through my spirit that I don't really like, bringing their language down to earth, like to our language, is kind of hard sometimes, because I hear something and I'm like, how do I say that? But what I'm coming to understand as I continue to grow in this gifting is that there are energetic layers. There's different frequencies that our spirit can be in. And if we were to compare the frequency that we are in currently as humans, we are at the lowest frequency, like one of the lowest frequencies that you can be in. And as we ascend, as we leave our bodies, when we move, we pass on from this lifetime and we come into the next, we go back into the spirit, there's another layer that we go into. And then from there, we can ascend. And many times, what happens is, as somebody that's deconstructed and had to kind of relieve some of that programming where I didn't believe in reincarnation, I've had to trust that my intuition is really guiding me in the right direction. So many spirits will come to earth, not many, all spirits. There are spirits such as kind of like star seeds or light workers, or certain spirits that have come with the purpose of only enhancing the frequency of the earth. And these beings that come and be in the earthly body as a human, maybe not, they may have reincarnated, or they may have been a human before, or they may not have. And their frequency, they can feel really uncomfortable in this world because their frequency is such a high level that it's almost like they are squeezing themselves into this body, which is how we all feel when we first come. But they are a different frequency than what I'm going to be sharing about today, with the frequency of like a spirit that has been a human. And what I'm hearing, what I've been hearing in my spirit lately, is that many of the humans on earth have been here multiple times. We have been in the lower energies. We have come into the realm of the earthly life multiple times. And the purpose in that is to continue to enhance our frequency on this side. As on the other side, as we move into new dimensions within our spirit. Now, here's where it's hard to explain. Our spirit, when it is not in our human body, not on this lower frequency and in a higher realm, there is no comprehension really of division. There's not a hierarchical system. There's not this like above, below, all that stuff. It's just all one energy. Everything is united and one. And the only way to get out of that is to come to a planet, is to what we call reincarnate, carnate into another dimension. That way it can experience that as a spirit. And this is where free will comes in. So our spirit, as it was created by divine, by the energy of God, by the universal energy, when our spirit, our soul was created, we were a exact replica of the divine. We came, and read my second book, Compass the Ego. I share about a vision I had on this, but we come out of that energy as an exact replica of God. And we are God experiencing itself. So, part of why God has created Earth and made this lower frequency is so it can experience something outside of itself. When it experiences something outside of itself, it expands itself. It causes a friction to grow. So, us coming into the earthly realm is actually allowing ourselves to feel friction so that we can grow. And this is where the comprehension based on human language of the different layers of heaven come in. And so the spirit will come and live within the body, and it will experience these lower energies. And then those of us that have been here multiple times, we may be able to connect back into the spirit while we're still in our body a little bit more easily than some people that haven't come in, or spirits who haven't come in and reincarnated into those lifetimes where they've learned those lessons that their spirit seeks to learn. There's always a cycle. It's almost like, in many ways, you are me and I am you. Like, everything is connected. I am the universe is me. So there is no real separation within anything, really. It's just on this lower level we see things as separate. And so the spirits that are kind of newer, the ones that are just being created or have been in, which again, time is an illusion. So this is hard to understand spiritually versus like our ego mind trying to figure this out. But the frequency of the spirit is different based on the amount of times they've been on earth. And so some of us, you will notice that there's a global awakening happening right now. There is massive amounts of people coming into an awakening right now, and it's really an amazing time to be alive to witness this. But there are people that are not awakening, and it can feel frustrating to be around that energy when you're awake and somebody is not. But there is a purpose for that, because without the friction, without the yin and yang, which without the darkness and the light moving together and creating this need to collide, there is not a growth. Because if you have one of the same thing, like it just is, if that makes sense. Like you can stretch it and you can mold it and you can make it into something new. But when you, like for clay, like if I were to make a pottery on like a spinning wheel or something, I would need to add water on it to mold it, and then I need to mold it. I can't just take a block of clay and move it and make it something new. I have to have something to bring contrast or to make it moldable in order for it to be molded into something new. And so that's what we're coming on earth to do, is to be molded into a higher frequency and it's not that we are becoming a higher frequency, is that we are understanding it based on our experience here. So this is what the interesting thing is most, and I don't know where other mediums are on this. This is just where I have come into my comprehension and understanding of some of this. Is there's people that have had contact with spirits, and then those spirits are harder to come in contact with over time. And it's not that it's not that they're gone. It's not that they have left us. It's just they are in a different frequency than what we are, because we are on a low frequency. And as the spirit enhances into new frequencies, it gets harder and harder to connect with a certain spirit, because they have enhanced into another energy, another frequency. And that's why the practice of meditation and energy work and understanding our chakras and our aura can enhance our ability to connect with spirits, because as we are able to raise our human vibration, we can connect with higher realms, and we can have more of an understanding of those higher realms. So the contrast happening on earth, where some people are connecting with the higher energy and some people are not, is that light. It's not necessarily that they're like, okay, everybody has evil inside of them because we're human, but it's not that their spirit is evil. Their spirit just chose to come play that role in this lifetime to bring contrast into the light so that things can expand. And so what can happen is we can look at the outside things happening in the energy, like the really evil acts and the really destructive things. And we can see that as a threat in many ways. But when you come out spiritually and you look at it from a different way, you see it as a contrast for growth and expansion. And it doesn't mean that we should be an advocate for pain, hurt, or anything of that. Like, our purpose being here is to learn how to love, even those who are not awake. That is still their purpose. But we have to come into this understanding that they may not experience that in this lifetime, because that's not their purpose in this lifetime, if that makes sense. So the energy of those who have not awakened are not going to connect with the higher dimensions like those who have awakened. And those who have awakened will continue to increase their frequency and continue to enhance their understanding of energy and connect with higher dimensions. And that's why you'll have people that are mediums. You'll have people that can connect with angels. You'll have people that can connect with higher beings and dimensions and things like that. Because as we raise our frequency, we connect with new layers of frequency in the spiritual realm, because everything is energy. If we could actually see the energy, then we would understand that, but we can't really physically see it unless we're like in a meditative state or we are feeling the energy within our body. And I will say that you can learn how to feel that energy, but it takes practice. And once you get in touch with that energy and you feel it, it's almost like you reach a level and then you'll have something come that doesn't feel good. Like you'll feel uncomfortable, like actually releasing trauma from your body and things like that help our frequency to move into the next dimension, to be raised into a new level. And what I have found really interesting in connecting with spirits on the other side is that they're going through this same process that we are going through. And so when they raise their frequency, when they've learned their lesson, when they've released the karmic cycle and energy that they had in this lifetime, they move into the next realm. Now they can choose to come back and re-experience things, or they can come back and try to make things right, or they can come back to learn a new lesson to keep enhancing their frequency on this other side. But that's where free will comes in. And also, so this is where we're going to get woo-woo. Okay. So that is where we get stuck energy. That's where we get stuck spirits. That's where we get dark spirits that come through. And because there is free will, because there are spirits that will hold on to their earthly frequency, or they'll be fulfilled in what they did in that lifetime, or they'll feel connected to a human, or they'll feel connected to a something they've done, like a cause or something. Like what's popping in my head right now is like people have seen um like ghosts, I guess you would say, of a like people that were like in war or things like that. People will see or hear things in their home. People will see like kids or people, or these kind of things. And what's really interesting about these is these are the spirits that remain attached to the material world. They remain attached to their purpose on that lifetime, their purpose with a house, their purpose with a person, their purpose within something that they did, and they haven't released that karma. And part of what I'm not going to say this is all the time, but this is what I've kind of come into understanding about why this may happen sometimes, is that there hasn't been a reconciliation of forgiveness within the human aspect of it. And the reason I have come into this understanding is because of my personal experiences with after my dad passed and coming back to me and asking for forgiveness for how he made me feel. And I began to go through that process of forgiveness with him. And it was interesting because I had told him, like, I'd already forgiven you, Dad. But then he explained to me, like, no, you have in your mind, like you have said the words, I forgive you, but you haven't released the energy of the pain that I caused you in this lifetime. And when you release that pain, your frequency will raise. And so I have had to do a really deep inner soul work, inner body work, somatic work. And this, I mean, I could tell you tons of things in my trauma history, but um, just in this lifetime. But each time you release an energy of trauma, you release it in a way that you face the pain. You have to let yourself feel it to release it, because if you don't feel it, you don't know what to release. And as you release that, your energy enhances and you grow. And so, as my dad shared with me, I need you to forgive me. And I was like, I already have. He's like, no, you need to heal. You need to heal what I caused you. I need you to heal. And then he went on to explain me that as you heal this, I will enhance my frequency, because my energy will no longer be connected to that karma of what I caused you in that lifetime. So his spirit was able to increase in frequency on the other side because of our mutual, I guess, or me forgiving and healing that energy. So it's really deep. After my dad came through, I started having other spirits come through of people that were in my family, my actual blood family line, saying the same thing, wanting forgiveness. And it was so interesting because it's almost like they just been waiting for somebody to get in contact with, to go through this process of releasing this pain that they may have caused on the earth, and so they can enhance and go into the next frequency and energy of the spiritual realm, or whatever we want to call it. So there may be spirits that we want to speak with. Like if you go to a medium and you want to talk with a certain spirit, they may have enhanced into another frequency and maybe a little bit higher dimension. And if that person that's trying to connect with the spirit or hear from them is not at a level of being able to hear in their energy, then it's not going to be, you may not have contact with that spirit. Now, some mediums, almost all mediums, are able to get in touch with those lower frequencies of energy because the spirits that are stuck a little bit more easier to get in contact than those who have moved into the next dimension. And what is really even more interesting is and I'm hearing this in my spirit right now. I'm gonna share what I'm hearing in my spirit is, as that spirit moves into that next dimension, that's when they can choose to reincarnate. That's when they can choose, I'm gonna go back and do something. And I actually, it was really interesting. My dad told me when he was going to reincarnate and with who, and whose child he was going to reincarnate for or as. And at first, when he told me this, I questioned it, because I'm like, why would you reincarnate with that person? It's nothing against the person. I think they're amazing, and they're somebody in my family and I love them dearly. But I had thought, oh, you'll reincarnate with this person because they're spiritual and they'll be able to understand. But no, he explained to me, he's like, no, I'm not going to go to somebody that is easily connected, because I need to come and bring that energy to somebody that's not connected so that I can help that person connect. And it's almost like that lesson that they learn, they want to come back and teach it to somebody else, and then so on. So this is where the energetic layers and frequencies come in. And when you hear people talking about, you need to raise the vibration that you're in, you need to raise your energy, you need to a lot of people talk that, like, they'll say ascension or 3D, 5D, all these D's that we can be in. They're just enhanced frequencies. They're just like more energy that you can get in touch with. And I believe it was in my last episode, I shared about the difference between like a plug in the wall and then going out and like the actual pole where the energy connects to my house. Like, I'm going to get electrocuted if I stick my finger in a plug in my house. But if I go climb up the pole in my backyard that brings the electricity to my house, it will probably kill me. So I have to go through training. I have to be prepared to climb that, to connect with that energy, or else it's going to cause me harm. It's going to feel bad. And I share about this in my first book. When I first connected with my spirit, or not my first book, my second, Composite Ego, I share about how when I connected with my guides, I felt the energy shift, and they actually told me, I got a really bad headache when they entered the room I was in, and they told me, your energy is too low. You need to increase your energy to connect with us. And so when I don't know how I did it, I just did it. But when I increased my frequency and my energy, my headache went away, and I was able to hear them and connect with them. Now, I also think, as far as connecting with guides, and I'm just going to add this just because it's coming up in my mind, we will go through periods of being connected with our guides and hearing and being close with them. And then they're going to kind of pull back a little bit to teach us how to come back into a higher energy and frequency. So if they were to stay in that same energy and frequency and communicate with that and that energy constantly, we would not expand, we would not grow. And so there's this like relationship of ebb and flow of energy increasing. And what I'm hearing right now as I speak about this in my spirit is that those who are called to be teachers will be the ones that experience this. The spiritual teachers on the earth right now, just know, if you're going through periods of disconnect with your guys, or you're feeling as if you can't hear them, they've moved into a different energy, and your job is to enhance your frequency to reconnect with them. And so they're going to bring you into another realm, another um understanding of energy, because you will be able to teach more clearly from that energy, because you can only know so much on one energy, and then you move to the next, and then you gain more understanding as you move forward. So if you are just starting out as your awakening process, and this all just kind of goes way over your head, try not to get upset with yourself or think you're off or you're not doing something right, because these are all things that will come as you continue to trust and just allow yourself to be molded, just like that clay, like letting the things come at you and using those things to help mold you into something new. And it's not comfortable to be molded into something new, because that means you have to change something, you have to let go of something, you have to see something maybe you don't want to see. And that's the process of deconstructing. That's the process of releasing trauma. That's the process of feeling the energy in your body so that you can connect and then let it go, and then fill yourself back up with a new, higher energy. So and this is what I teach in my coaching, is how to reconnect with yourself. Let that part of yourself go that you've known yourself to be, and coming into the new. So if you want to reach out and work with me, I'd love to support you. I have been considering moving away from one-on-one work in the near future. I do have people that are lined up waiting to work with me. So I will be opening the door, my one-on-one with them, but in the near future, I really feel as if I'm supposed to do more of a teaching guidance for like groups and things like that. So if you do want one-on-one, I encourage you to do it now before I move on. I can't say that I won't ever do one-on-one again, but it's going to be a lot more limited as I move forward. And then go ahead and grab my books. They're both on Amazon. You can find them online on any online bookstore. I promise you won't be disappointed in either of them. They're really easy, good reads. And I think they'll be encouraging for you as you grow through your process of awakening and expanding and learning new things. So I hope this was somewhat helpful for somebody. I don't really know who it was for. Maybe there's somebody out there that's just been wondering about spirits, connecting with their own spirit, growing their spirit guides, all that stuff. And who knows? I will share more on some of that based on earthly relationships maybe in my next episode, because I do have that on my list to do. And until then, I wish you all the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. I send you all the universal love. Namaste.